Hello and welcome to Headliners, your first look at Friday's newspapers. I'm your host, Andrew Doyle. Tonight, our two wonderful comedians are joining me, New York's finest, Lewis Schaefer, and Cumbria's wayward son, Nick Dixon. Are you both feeling well?
When you call me New York's finest, it doesn't make me feel good.
No, really? Why not? That's a compliment.
I don't want to be the finest. There's too much responsibility.
If he was New York's finest, he wouldn't have left the country and come here.
That's true. New York's reject. That's what I should have said. All right, I'll say that next time. Sorry about that, Lewis. OK, let's have a look at the front pages for Friday. Daily Mail is leading with Labour's £300 green energy bill saving lie. The Guardian has got Chancellor to reveal £20 billion shortfall in public finances. The Times has got hospitals have gone unchecked for 10 years. And the Express is leading with Esther's heart lifted at hope of dying in favourite place. And the iNews, Starmer warned against pension tax hit for 7 million savers. And finally, the Daily Star, the one where Jennifer Aniston gives a staunch defence of cat ladies. And those were your front pages. OK, let's crack on with The Guardian on Friday. Lewis, what's their front cover looking like?
Well, good news. The Chancellor, who's this woman, Rachel Reeves, she says the Chancellor to reveal £20 billion shortfall in public finances. Basically, this is, I think, every time there's a new government comes in, they say there's no money. They left no money for us. And
well, in one famous case, there was a note saying there is no money, just deal with it.
I think that's what they did in America. I think George Bush gave Donald Trump or whatever it is, whoever, I don't remember the running order in America.
No, it wasn't that.
He got a letter from the previous guy, and I think Obama even gave a nice note to Donald. I don't remember whatever it was.
Yeah, but it wasn't that they'd spent all the money and there's nothing left. Although, that said, the American tax burden is quite significant at the moment, isn't it? What do you think about this, Nick? Any thoughts?
Well, they predicted that Reeves will kitchen sink the bad news about the economy.
Is that a phrase?
Horrible. I've never heard it before, but you imagine it means chuck everything at it. So it's just going to be a budget of awfulness, and I guess you'll get to blame all of it on the Tories.
Isn't kitchen sinking a wrestling move?
No, kitchen sinking. How am I the only one to know this? You know this.
It's those dramas from the 50s with
from the 1950s.
Dramas.
Oh, I see. So she's
in black and white. They were really bleak. They took place in the North, and they were horrible work. I think they were the first, kind of horrible working class.
We call them documentaries, where I'm from.
OK, let's move on, though, to the Mail on Friday. Nick, what are they running with for the front cover?
They've got Labour's £300 green energy bill saving lie, line inverted commas, but because there was this claim that in the campaign from Miliband and et al. That we'd save £300 on household bills with their green energy plan. Now they're conceding that might not happen before the next election, so it is being called a lie. I mean, people quite often campaign saying you'll save money and you don't.
Are you suggesting that campaign pledges don't always come true?
That's sort of what I am saying.
Outrageous.
Obviously, with Brexit it was different. They all happened. But I mean, I'm suspicious of this whole energy plan. I mean, Ed Miliband, I find it a bizarre choice anyway. One thing we learned is that the country didn't really like him, so why bring him back? And my friend Lord Frost said that this plan will just bring more debt, higher bills and insecure energy, and that the government are believing their own hype about renewables, so I tend to defer to him.
I love the way he says, my friend Lord Frost.
Well, just podcast, it's out now.
Yeah, but no one...
You're always promoting yourself every night.
No, that's fine, but you should, when you're in a name drop, name a name. Nobody knows who this Lord Frost is.
We just did a podcast, it's out now.
Lewis, I actually think it's quite impressive. You're going to name drop and you mention a senior politician. That's kind of classy.
Nobody knows of.
Yeah, but if you
You're
just said...
American, you don't know any of our politicians.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was...
I'm speaking for the people, because I know, because I'm paying attention, and I've never seen Lord Frost's name mentioned.
Anyway, Lewis,
Brexit negotiator.
Any thoughts about this?
You know what? Anytime you see the word green, you know it's a lie. It's inherently the whole climate change.
In any context.
In any context. If you say we're going to save money, it means you're going to be manufacturing something that's going to be put up somewhere that's going to make a lot of noise.
The haters are going to clip this one. More disinformation. And they'll pretend you're a serious commentator. They'll clip you on Twitter, GB climate change deniers, and they'll forget to say that you're a comedian and no one listens to you.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually the key point. Nobody cares what Lewis Thanks. Let's move on to the front cover of the next paper, which is The Times on Friday. Lewis, different story here.
Yeah, well, this is more good news. Hospitals have gone unchecked for 10 years. And this is West Streeting guy says the CQ, another person I've never heard of.
You've never heard of West Streeting?
Of course. But he hasn't done anything in 10. What has he done for the last 10 years except criticize?
He's not been in government, to be fair.
He hasn't been in government, so he hasn't done anything.
The thing is, Lewis, there's a whole new government now. You're going to have to learn their names and learn what they do.
But they have no political power basis except what the toolmaker decides.
Okay, but what he's saying is the toolmaker's son, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
What he's saying is that, you know, it's actually quite serious, isn't it? If hospitals have not been inspected, if things have, that might be why things have gone so wrong. What do you think?
I think it's completely unnecessary to inspect hospitals by the government, by whatever the state, whatever you call the central business thing of the government, is that people could sue them. Is that when you have, it's back to centralization, which is the biggest.
Okay.
You know, the NHS, there shouldn't be an NHS.
Well, that's a different question. You know, given that there is an NHS and it is funded by the taxpayer, surely the government has a responsibility to inspect it frequently and ensure that the standards are sufficiently high.
Eventually, they become locked together, and they basically, even if they inspected each other, they wouldn't do a good job.
Well, I mean, Nick, they're suggesting it hasn't been inspected at all.
Yeah, that was incredible. An interim review found that the organisation was so dysfunctional that one of its hospital inspectors claimed never to have been inside one. This is the Care Quality Commission. I mean...
Wait, a hospital inspector has never been in a hospital?
Inside a hospital or met a person with dementia. So, yeah, Streeting's been so shocked that he's putting in all these regulations. He's changing the whole IT system. You've got to report to ministers, and all patient safety organisations will be reviewed. The bonus is there's a lot to reform. He's got no shortage of things to reform, but even he was alarmed about how bad things have got.
It is alarming. OK, let's move on to the Star. For once, they're covering an actual story.
They are. The one where Jennifer Aniston gives a staunch defence of cat ladies, and this refers to Trump's running mate J.D. Vance, who had this clip that's resurfaced, even though it's from 2021, where he described Democrats as a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And Aniston is saying, well, I hope your daughter is fortunate enough to have children, and also you're taking away IVF from her as well, because he voted against this IVF bill that would have made it a national right. And Jennifer Aniston is known to be someone who tried to have children and couldn't, and actually Adam Sandler sends her flowers every Mother's Day, which is very nice. But so of course she's going to be passionate about this. They're using it. There's this thing that Kamala Harris has no children, and it's therefore, you know, it's a
just stepchildren, right?
Does she?
I think
maybe. Yeah,
I think she does.
Yeah, but she doesn't have any children, and the idea is that this could be used against it. I don't know if it's a useful attack or not, especially now Trump's going to be called misogynist, and Vance starts to look like, in that sense, not the ideal pick. In other ways, he's very strong, but so now it's maybe a weak point.
But this is an old clip, right? 2021.
Oh, this is an old clip, yeah.
So he hasn't just said this thing about cat ladies.
No. We hear this idea quite a lot, don't we? If you have no children, you have no stake in the future. I personally don't believe it, because I have no children. I care very much about the future of the country.
Yes.
Though I don't really believe Kamala does, but for different reasons. I just think she's kind of vacuous and self-involved and power-hungry. But, you know, in theory, I think you can not have kids and still care about the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the problem they're going to find with this is ever since he chose Vance as his VP, of course, Vance has said some pretty spicy things in the past because he's that kind of guy. He does sort of speak his mind. He's been described as a bit of a bulldog. So there's going to be stuff that you'll be able to find that he said. But is that really helpful at the moment?
Is it helpful for who? It's helpful for Kamala. It's helpful for... I mean, women don't like to be called cat ladies. They don't like that. But then again, all these women are calling... They're very free with calling men incels, which is even worse, because most cat ladies decide not to have children, but most incels decide... They don't decide not to have...
At least they have cats as well. What's an incel got except an array
What's wrong with a cat? What's wrong with being a cat lady?
But this J.D. Vance guy, he was chosen. I saw the interview with Donald. And what did Donald say? He likes me a lot.
Look, his name dropping. Donald.
Yeah. Well, we're both from New York.
Yeah.
But he says I chose him because he likes me a lot.
I like that he's honest about that.
You can't use all of J.D. Vance's past remarks, because one of his past remarks was that Trump was awful and we should never vote for him. He was a never Trump.
That's true.
Yeah.
Trump said when he met him, he fell in love with him.
I just wonder whether we shouldn't focus on what people are saying now. I mean, we can easily trawl through things that Kamala Harris are saying. There's no shortage of really, really imbecilic things that she said in the past. But let's leave all that aside and just have an argument about the here and now, right?
You said we need to sort of align with our friends in the Republic of North Korea, that one.
Well, it could be that. It could be that one. It could be when she sort of implied that Biden was a racist. I thought that was kind of extreme.
No, she's.
We need to be. What you're saying, Andrew, is we need to be unburdened by what has been.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
On what can be.
Exactly, that's what we should say.
Is
What a
the-
beautiful phrase. Who came up with that?
Yeah.
Is the point is that Kamala, I think we should not focus on what J.D. Vance has said. We should focus on what Kamala has said because we don't like her.
Okay, very interesting. Well, well apparently we don't like it.